Are women from foreign countries better wives than the ones we currently have? Let's not limit it to Great Britain. In the West in general, are women better wives? Let's go for a guy. Banksy, what do you say?
Well, I've been recommending this for a long time, that men in the West, due to a myriad of reasons, should start looking elsewhere. I spoke to a gentleman in Australia about 4 years ago in regards to him. He was a pilot. He had all his house, everything paid, fully stacked. The man was rich, handsome, and generally, in that top, what you guys call the 10, 20%. And he categorically told me that when he is ready to get married, he is going to get married to a lady or a wife where he's going to find them either in Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines, and a country like that. He's in Australia himself, very wealthy in Australia, but he will not bring his wife to Australia. He will marry her and he will stay with her and build a life in that country, because he knows that if he brings her to Australia, ultimately the feminists in Australia will corrupt her. And thus, she'll be looking for the exit door within a few years, possibly a visa situation. So in order to counteract any of that, he will marry in his 50s, but he will keep her in that country where the laws are much more favorable in divorce courts to the men.
Wow.
Ooh, ladies, what do you think about
that? So do you feel that he's marrying her? Do you think she's going to actually be marrying him because she loves him and desires him, or that she just truly wants to get out of the country or the poverty that she may be living in to get to Australia or to wherever you were saying that he's from? He's really wealthy. So he's then going to keep her in a little box in the country that she's trying to maybe get away from, just so that so he can control that situation. No, to me, that's not marriage.
Do British women marry more for love, you think?
I mean, I feel that women automatically marry from a place of feeling rather than logic. Most. Obviously, there's the difference between logic and emotion, and there are women that are more pragmatic. But I think generally women do go into it.
I think women marry out of opportunity.
So my question is, if so, why is the average marriage 7 to 8 years, and why is the number one reason they leave financial? If women in the West marry because of love?
Well, because men are meant to be the provider. Yeah. If we're going back to what everyone says is the idea,
and we're meant to be virgins.
It's true. But at the same time, if we're talking about the polarities of the masculine and the feminine energy, if you want your wife or your partner to be in her feminine energy, when I say provider, she could still be working, she could still be doing her thing, but in his energy being the provider, so looking after her.
So then what's the female energy supposed to be?
In her feminine, obviously.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean virginity, but I mean...
It does. It means purity. That's what
No, it doesn't.
Value.
If you look at the polarities of feminine and masculine energy, within every single person in this room, there is feminine and masculine energy. That doesn't say purity. You're not any less feminine because you're not a virgin. Are you a virgin? People wouldn't say that you're not feminine.
I would say I am less feminine than I was. I was more feminine when I was a virgin.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't.
Because every heartbreak makes you a little bit more bitter.
Oh, I didn't think that.
And then just being honest, every heartbreak comes with some trauma.
Well, it does, but at the same time,
the more penises you have inside you, the more masculine you come.
Yeah, so I would say when I was a virgin, I was very
100%, but it doesn't negate from the fact that you are still able, if you do the work, to step into your feminine energy if you're with the counterpart that is in his masculine energy.
I just think women are either feminine or they're not.
No, I don't believe that.
And to me, you can learn to fake it. But but you can always smell it.
If you do the true work on allowing yourself. When I had my son, that forced me into my feminine energy.
What is because no offense, I just hear this do the work, but then there's no work.
There is when you work out why you're in your masculine energy, because there is always a why to your actions.
So say I'm too masculine, and then I find out it's X reason. Then what do I do? What's the work?
Well, therapy, deep trauma work, shadow work. There's so many different things. Sound bath healing, Reiki healing. There's so many different types of work that you can do. Therapy to maybe get over your father wound, or your mother wound, which is usually where this, I need to be in my masculine energy in order to prove something, or even society saying.
These sound like buzz phrases.
Yeah, but this
they don't sound like real things. They sound like buzz phrases.
Well, I think sometimes women can be quite masculine because they have not met a man that has allowed them to be in their feminine energy. So sometimes they feel like, they're not with the right man that is allowing them to take a step back and be in that feminine energy and to lead them.
So
but I think ultimately...
so do you think that femininity is conditional then?
Conditional?
Do you think that it depends on the condition?
Just like masculinity.
No, it's not, because
I've seen many bitches out here.
Let me tell you something. As a man, if I said, I'll be masculine for the right woman. No. You're going to look at me and say, what? You're going to be like, what? You're going to be like, what? What do you mean I'll be masculine for the right woman? But you say you'll be feminine for the right man. And you think that makes sense.
Well, because he's meant to be the leader. As a leader, you're meant to lead. So if you're... And
you're meant to be in your... If I'm meant to be in my masculine, you're meant to be in your feminine.
Yeah, but I think we have masculine and feminine energy. And I think if you're a woman and you're with a man that doesn't allow you to step into your femininity because he's not masculine enough, then your masculine side kind of comes out and compensates for that.
How come that doesn't work the other way around?
I disagree. I just think that's an excuse that women want to use as an excuse to be masculine. I just think that's an excuse. Like the most picture perfect feminine women I know, it doesn't matter who they're with. They're feminine regardless. I just think you're either feminine or you're not feminine.
What are you saying, bro?
Well, for starters, I agree with what Pearl just said. Yeah. But do you think it works both ways? So basically, if you're a slightly masculine female because you're not with the right guy that can bring out your femininity, do you think a man will get away with saying he's a slightly feminine man because he's not with the right woman?
Yeah, maybe a man can be with a woman that's maybe a little bit too masculine for him, and then it doesn't allow him that confidence to step into his masculinity. Do you know what I mean? So it is all about balance and finding the right person.
The question is...
Go
ahead.
Would you give a guy who's very much in his feminine energy a chance?
Nope.
Probably not, because I just feel like I want a man to lead. Yeah. And
right.
I am...
So then so that's a little bit of contradiction, right?
Because I'm sure that females in their masculine energy would like a man to give them a chance.
I mean, just imagine this. Imagine if a guy just started being like, "Hey, girls."
Hey, girl.
Yeah, and because he's like, I'm with some masculine females. Hello,
that's crazy.
That would sound nuts to you.
Crazy.
But we can no offense, spew this as nonsense to me. I just think you're either a feminine woman or you're not a feminine woman.
I think sometimes
the thing is, this is something where most people who've done any kind of training, martial arts, anything else, they say you are your habits.
Yes.
You are what you train. If you train full contact, you punch full contact. If you train semi-contact, you throw semi-contact. You are your habits. It is incredibly difficult to live your life for most of it or for decades as a masculine woman and then suddenly turn on the feminine in front of the right guy.
But you can train it though. You can train you can work,
train it,
do the work.
But the thing is, by the time you meet that guy,
can you not have therapists?
No, but who trains you? Does a man train you, or do you train yourself?
Well, it depends. Some relationships can bring out that side of you to do that deep work. Because a lot of the time, when you get into a relationship, the reflections and the trauma that is brought up, where then it forces you into that space of you know what? Actually, maybe I am not doing something in this relationship that's not allowing this man to do what he's meant to be doing. And so then it forces you to get that mirror and be like, you know what? I need to do the work on me.
Sorry,
outside of therapy, what else? Because I just imagine, if you're going to change your whole temperament, there's a lot that's in it. So,
well, I mean, I'm sure it does take many years. Therapy is probably a main one.
So not outside of therapy.
Outside of therapy, a lot of stuff I can't say. I can't say. I wouldn't like to.
But then do you think, this is the thing about, women that say this kind of stuff. Men here, we don't want masculine women.
No, we don't want to be masculine either.
But what I'm trying to say is you say, we've got to train ourselves to be feminine, right?
Reprogram.
Or reprogram yourself, or rejig yourself, whatever it is. Get yourself, download a new program.
Well, it's like
right?
going to the gym.
But men generally don't. They ain't got time for it. If it's, for instance, if we take you on a date, for instance, right, and we see that you're more masculine than you are feminine, we're already calculating this is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem, and I haven't got time because I don't know you like that. We haven't got time to be trying to program you and trying to train you into being more feminine. Like if we go on a date with you, we want a woman that we can see, actually she's kind of feminine. I kind of like this. Do you know what I mean? And then we'll pursue it. But masculine women, we don't want to train you because if we say the word, because you use the word train,
no,
I didn't.
Yeah, but you said that you asked me a question whether a man can help you in that, and so I didn't say, because a lot of the work, the deep work that I've done on my own, not yes, relationships have presented these mirrors for me to have, which every relationship presents mirrors. It could be a relationship with your mum, your friends, can present these spaces of where you're like, okay, I've got to work on myself in this and understand sometimes you don't need to say this or you don't need to say that, or you can take a step back and understand that, yes, this man can lead me. So I'm not saying that it's a man's role or job to do that. That's a twist of words.
Do you think you need a man to co-sign it though?
So
like if, you did this, not just you, but anyone that does like the deep work, the femininity training, like, would you say that there has to be a man that co-signs it because like women lie to each other?
Well, I think that when you get into a relationship, you'll then if you take time out maybe after a relationship, and then I think a relationship will let you know how successful your deep work has been, because you're not going to know how successful you're going to be in a relationship till you're in a relationship, right? So
the thing is,
I wouldn't say a man because you could be a lesbian.
This is like beyond Cap. And it's like the amount of Cap here is like, or cope. I don't know.
Are you married?
I was engaged for a long time, but
Me too.
But the thing is, that's what I see here is like the women saying, "Oh, when I meet the right guy, I'll then turn on the femininity." Whilst actually, in the reality is, they don't actually even turn on the femininity. They just go, "You just can't handle a strong woman."
Yeah.
And then you, as a man, are berated and ridiculed because you can't handle this incredibly masculine energy of this woman that's coming at you all day long, because you don't want that. You want feminine, submissive,
and so
beautiful women.
And so that's, I think, part of the reason why men in the West are actually going abroad, whether it be Dominican Republic, Brazil, certain parts of Africa, Eastern Europe, Thailand, Philippines. That's why they're going there to kind of find wives, because what a lot of them are saying, and I've heard it a lot from men, that Western women are too much work.